what a start from the boys from APAC. They take down the hometown favorites on map 1. I'm your host, Yingsu, and I'm back here with Mimi and Achilles. It feels good, doesn't it? It feels good for you.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm like, yay, more competition in the region. VCT Pacific's going to be awesome, especially if TLN can continue to play like this. I mean, good God, what a way to kick things off. I mean, Brent and Josh were talking about it consistently throughout that. We were talking about it during the halftime break. It just feels like they are completely unfazed by this crowd, and whereas it kind of seems like MiBR absolutely fazed by it. Maybe too much pressure is being applied to them right now.
Yeah, what feels good to me is being surprised. I really underrated Talon coming into this event. I thought they've lost their 2 best players from last year. They're coming in with these unproven talents. But they showed up here, and they played a really impressive game of Valorant. Both those young players showed up, played fantastically, and the calling from Talon as well was really good. Every time MiBR was leaving them a gap, Talon did a great job of exploiting that.
Yeah, just at every twist and turn, fantastically done. And I mean, players that we didn't necessarily anticipate to step up in the way that they did in the sense of Cruz, in the sense of Garnet's on this massive debut. But Cruz was just wreaking havoc in every single twist and turn throughout this game. I mean, he just really could not be stopped.
Yeah, in the first half here, just the pace at which Talon reacted was so fantastic. There was round after round where they were kind of seeing initial contact from MiBR in one area of the map, seeing kind of heat satcheling in as the read, and then instantly going for these super fast double flanks. It was just crushing MiBR round after round, and it felt like they were never really able to adapt to it. I expected a little bit of more out of a team led by FRZ and Bazooka as the IGL.
I mean, this is what we know that APAC teams, they can shoot, they can kill, they can win games. But I think this level of discipline, of structure, the strategy, the counters, it's just such great Valorant to watch. And of course, one guy that was behind a lot of this was Cruz. Of course, I spoke about this already. This is a veteran player. He's been here before. And Mimi, he's really showing his experience here.
I think Josh put it perfectly on the cast. We didn't expect them to have an all-star smokes player. Cruz switches over to the role, and first game, he just looks incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even have that much time to touch on it when we had the agents like coming up, but this guy has in the past been playing the roles like the Breach and whatnot, but he's just nuts going over to this home. It seems like he's slotting into it so very comfortably, much like we saw BCJ slotting into this role as well just earlier.
Yeah, and speaking of Cruz, check him out in the Verizon high-speed moment, of course. He had a few moments, I feel like we could have been here for the high-speed, but Mimi, this was just insane. I cannot believe he stayed alive and then did this.
It was absurd that he managed to live. He gets seized in this one. Everyone is trying to swing him to trade him, and he still stays up and finds multiple kills. It was absolute perfection from this guy. So many of these retakes in the first half were great. As we got to the second, MiBR got a few more rounds on the board. It looked like they could maybe recover, but at the end of the day, Talon had that match in control.
Yeah, I mean, this felt like a Mako-esque performance here from Cruz, but it was entirely based around his rifling. We didn't really see any cheeky smoke plays that you normally get from somebody who's excellent at playing Omen. We didn't have him, you know, smoking in a corner and then sitting there with a shorty or with a judge or whatever. He didn't do anything like that. He also messed up a couple of his teleports. He just went out, threw some nice paranoias, got some coverage for his team, but Wiley was just hitting headshots time and time again.
I mean, it's just full confidence running at them, full confidence swinging like that. But one guy I feel like is the one probably you guys will say have to step up. He wasn't. He played well in that first map. Is Heat here? He is in the AIM Lab shoot around, but we expect more from him. I feel like, especially when he has set that carry potential.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we know what he can get done. I think he's got a little smile. He's like, I'm just going to do this at my own pace here. But, I mean, we saw him pick up the ace. It was a huge moment, and it seemed like maybe a bit of a turning point of the game because that allowed them to tie things up at 3-3. But, yeah, I mean, he was looking pretty consistent the whole way throughout. Unfortunately, the rest of the team, there was a couple moments where it felt like they weren't hitting those shots that they certainly shouldn't. Heat, especially with that op, was also under those same circumstances.
Yeah, Heat is not the guy that I'm really worried about going into the rest of this match. I think it's a rest of obviously going to get very prepared with a warm-up routine like that. Make sure you guys replicate that one. But yeah, we're heading into Fracture next up, where I think traditionally Heat was playing the Neon on this map for them. So he's going to be in another role where he's really set up to succeed, but also in a role where the team has to put a lot of utility into enabling him.
I think my worry is this was Talon's pick. Now, they've already won MiBR's pick here, so Achilles, there's a lot of pressure on MiBR.
There's a lot of pressure on them, but there's also pressure on Talon now to close this out. We have seen teams tons of times in the past in this event already go into an opponent's map pick, beat them there and then lose on their own. That is entirely possible here if MiBR is going to be able to shake off that initial loss.
Well, no surprises so far in the Prime Gaming Agent Select, and Garnet is
I'm ready for Garnet's on Neon. It's going to be great.
I'm so excited. This guy was fantastic on the Rays. The Neon is going to be really cool to watch as well. FRZ, glad to not see that Chamber history go through. I really like the Cypher pick, especially as an anti-Neon competition. On the defensive side, you can really shut down a player like Garnet. But on the other side, for Talon, I think this is a map where Sushi Boys and Garnets will feel at home. Both the Neon and Killjoy roles on this map give you so much potential to pop off.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see if MiBR have what it takes also to pull this one back. Bren and Josh, let's get into map 2.
Let's get into it indeed, yes. We're starting things off with another head-to-head battle. Garnet's the rookie player versus Heat, the superstar. They went, you know, listen, even footing, relatively speaking, in terms of that KD, but for Garnet to have such an outlandish performance as a rookie player is almost unheard of sometimes.
Yeah, it is. And for the other 3 players that are on the stage right now that don't have the same level of experience, I think all 3 of those failed to reach that kind of level that Garnet was bringing, that the veterans were bringing. And so maybe we see, you know, Jitboy or RGL, maybe we see JCZ step up to the plate this time around, because all 3 of those players very quiet map 1. And that could be the difference maker, you know? Having a big game coming out from RGL, for example, on the smokes, that might make all the difference.
Need something to turn it around. Starting here, map number 2, Talon MiBR, and the desk set it up. This is Talon's map pick. Already leading the series, and wow, what a beginning! Just as we were talking about it, Garnet's just setting us off on a great path. I mean, these 2 kills that he's claimed, the spike is out of position now on top of it, and we're gonna have to be relying on Frozen with this late lurk down drop to try and bail them out.
Garnet is just straight up diffing the MiBR players.
He's playing without a care in the world.
The spike is in such a treacherous position currently. And it's not like FRZ can do too much about it either. He really does need to be creating some pressure, because I mean, there's 3 players just staring at the spike.
Let's see Sushi Boys playing that anti-flash position with JCC still alive. One flash available, a deep smoke to see if they can reclaim this one. Stun. Fault line buys him a bit of space. Okay.
Wow.
Exchange of the spike here before Ox. Oh, the call's been made, and well, just about misses the shot there.
It looked like it was good. I could have sworn that Fox's crosshair was on the head.
Yeah, looks like he should have been good for it, but...
And all of this, all of the stuff that FRZ was doing earlier in the round now might pay dividends. It wasn't necessarily to help the rest of his team, but he's in a position now where he's got a nasty backstab spot potentially.
Staying alive, but a fight has already been taken, and now he needs to get a move on because the weapons are not doing the job.
Oh, he's way too late.
And it is completely not planted for him. Right round the corner. And all Talon have to do is hold it with a double face. 2 will fall, but ultimately the round will go their way. Consolation prize at the end of the day.
Yeah, the crowd are happy about that one, but I don't know if they've looked at the scoreline.
Yeah.
Talon taking that pistol and all sorts of miscoordination there from MiBR. The trade, I mean, non-existent, to be honest, isn't it? Yeah. Garnet just allowed to pluck both of those players off while they're distracted by the turret, and Heat's got a stun bolt in his hand.
One of the things I was most impressed with, actually, looking at MiBR coming into this tournament, was I think how well they reacted off of information. There was zero hesitancy at times, but so far it feels like Talon are the team that are doing all that.
Yeah, I agree.
It was just such a fast play through the choke point to instantly retake when the spike was down there.
Absolutely. They're playing much looser.
Yeah.
And I think the desk might be onto something there in terms of the pressure of the crowd actually ended up causing MiBR to stutter in some of their decisions.
Yeah.
And worry. Play with a bit more caution.
Maybe just overthinking the usual game plan. It's a lurk from Heat, but doesn't nail a single shot. Inspector, not the job.
These players in drop are so dead to the flank.
Yeah, and it is pretty tight squeeze there. The spike's going to be dropped down. So the eco round mopped up easily enough.
And the kills, the ult points, fairly evenly distributed from Talon. But Sushi Boys is getting close to his lockdown. It's not an ultimate that you can do that much with on the defensive side. You know, you can react to use it or use it for a bit of a retake potentially. especially on B, you've got a good position for it. But it's not one that you're really building an entire defensive game plan around. This is going to be an aggressive defense a lot of the time. And it looks like we're getting some bonus round aggression down through tree.
Yeah. Looks like they're ready for it. Flash over the top. Stun as well. Finding its mark, and it does buy them that space. So Crew's going to be farming up that ore, but they've given up a lot of control of Arcade in the process. The angle not really being watched for with the smoke drop down. Going to see if they can weave their way into tower.
And I like how fluid they are, Brent. Immediately making the decision to take Arcade after they lost tree control. Really decisive.
Has been pushed back though by that utility. And Crew as well. Lays down to Stimmy. I feel like you're never favored when you're holding this rope angle, but how many times have we seen a player just end up falling? Potentially that purpose, and Murray's just waiting a little bit too wide there into that angle. Garnet's no fear at all to take the fight with only the Bulldog. Not much backup in play, and Heat just has to cower in the corner here.
I liked the game plan from MiBR at the beginning of this round, but the spike is still in such a dodgy spot. And these two players, FRZ and RGL, are miles away from the action. Sure, they've got the A spike, but what are you gonna, the A site, but what are you gonna do with it without the spike? I mean, it's such a mess.
Dropping like flies. Heat with the lurk through, 20 seconds remaining. Just trying to contact through, and the angle just watched for. I mean, this is MiBR honestly losing that charm that I think that they had coming into the tournament. You know, we previewing them in their game against Leviathan, another team that's expected to be incredibly strong. They were going toe-to-toe, they were making it very even, but this is a team that really, I think, just needs to pull up the bootstraps at some point.
I think they lack that decisive nature. They're trying to implement too many stops into their play on the attack side. When they took Arcade control at the beginning of this round, why not just shove it in?
Yeah.
Try and take that tower control. They paused for too long. They allowed Talon to retake that area of the map, drop the spike in a horrible spot, and it just looked like they had no game plan.
There wasn't that sense of urgency.
And remember, it's been a long time since Morris has been in this position as the IGL. A long time since he was on the stage. Maybe things are just slipping away from MiBR a little bit, but on the other side of things, Talon are reading all of these situations and picking up every opportunity.
Leon Wall is going to split this site up, including that utility. Aftershock into the corner, Heat. It's going to open it up for them, but
this is so weird again.
Not out of drop yet, it's uncoordinated! Jason Day just dropped onto the head of Cruz, and okay, eventually they worked their way in, but it took a bit of effort. It was very awkward. No time wasted from Garnet. Drops down the fast lane. The wall's in play. Location going to be revealed in this one, but no one aiming to try and spam those corners, yet still the round will go their way, and eventually, finally, there we go.
It's another half buy. Yeah. It's another Thrifty. Powered by Heat running in through his neon wall with a stinger, and somehow both of the A-site anchors just kind of got bypassed.
Yeah, very disjointed.
Really weird Valorant that we're being treated to here. Take a look at it in the replay and just look. I mean, the way that JZZ just lands on top of Cruz, comical, and he's got players right behind him too. You know, the fast flank was already coming through at Dish at this point in the round. Yeah. Very odd. Garnet now has an ultimate to work with. 10 seconds into the round already here, as Dish pressure applied by MiBR.
It's the same thing that just worked for them on the prior round, so flash. Don't think that reveals too much. I'm not too sure if there were that many footsteps, but the space has been gained, and the fast lane can split the side up like we saw in that previous round once more. JCC with the rolling thunder.
Yeah, it's massive ultimates. Okay. Great entry from Heat. If they can find Sushi Boys, but he's good for it. Great site anchoring, takes down the entry. And that also takes down the wall. It's going to be much more difficult to get into A.
And it is incredibly tepid, isn't it?
It is so slow, so cautious, yeah. After they get that first pick, they don't decide to explode. They still are really tentative.
Just waiting around, waiting around.
Trying to win the round just by getting picks, and everything's falling apart for them.
If they're relying on Frozen to try and take some of that space, that's just not even afforded for him now. Ults are online, big ones for MiBR, but the time is running short now, and they're still contacting into this one. They could make it more reactive play. Yeah, I kind of like this idea from them. They want to try and push them and fight them. Stun the fault line to push them back. Flash forwards, pushes Murray's potentially forwards, but no, still just biding his time with 12 seconds remaining. And look at that, the orbital strike just pushes them away. You're running out of time. And a spike, well, in the hands of Murray's. Survives on 30 health, will get that plant down, but the utility is just being used and he is just dropping like flies. It's so awkward.
You said it earlier, Bren. Pressure does not always make diamonds. It looks like MiBR are crumbling out there. These rounds are slipping away from them in really unusual ways.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of different things that could have been improved there. MiBR, after they got the first kill, this entry, just go. Put the wall down and go. And secondly, I mean, you can see the ultimates. You know that Cruz has his orbital strike online. You've got to be aware that you need time to plant here. That's one of the key parts of Fracture. Getting the spike down is so difficult against Breach ults, against Brim ults, this kind of thing. Against a Raze ult, for example, if you're playing against a different composition. But MiBR taking a timeout, and BZK needs to instill some stability into his team currently.
Because right now they are not playing like the quality of the players would really suggest. It's just so mistimed. Whatever reason, you know, we talk about that double-edged sword of the pressure when the crowd is cheering you on. Well, sometimes it just causes things to slip.
But also, MiBR as a team, they don't have a huge amount of experience in these kind of moments, right?
Sure.
The players that have experience on the big stage, it's Heat. He's been to a ton of events and performed really well a lot of the time. And the rest of the roster, the other 4 players, have some experience or haven't been here in a long time, or for JCC and RGL, it's their first time on a stage like this. So all of the things that we always reiterate about these new teams when they get here, the inexperience, the lack of time together, as of course over this offseason too, all of these factors are still there. They're still present. The crowd doesn't erase that. This looks like some aggression again.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be trying to offset this B-main pressure that Talon have been applying.
A massive clash in tree.
You're going to see a flash over the top. You can see a deep smoke. You're going to see the stun as well. Look at that. It has found one of its targets. Counter stun with a fault line. Ripped across and, well, fully stunned up. Still claims the kill. Garnet's this guy just blessed, apparently.
And he's still just so confident to challenge.
Yep.
Garnet has no fear, playing so loose, so aggressive, crazy confidence.
But an instant pivot, no hesitation with this one as the no commanders let rip. Murray's waits his way across the side. There's really no one else to try and help him clear this one out. They don't quite have a full clearance. A bit of a play there with a flash into the spawn to see if they could claim a kill or 2, but
despite being 4v5, MiBR have got a good chance of winning this post plan. Orbital strike
is online for this, so they are going to be able to get rid of that lockdown and the flash angle. Well, Fox just a little bit too open to that one. JCC, what a play to make and what a time to do it. Garnet's all popped off. He's fully stunned up, fully flashed up, blind. B up and around the corner, and the team are definitely backing him up now. Still, it's up to Frozen, holding the angle, weaving in and out, making it a difficult task indeed, but the spray down, Jip Boys finds it, time running low, Util in his hands, the kill not found, but the stun is there, slows it down, claims the kill, but not enough time in the round.
And MiBR, they get another one on the board, but wow, they had to work for it. So many things happening there. Sushi Boy's decided to use his lockdown to bait out the orbital strike because you don't want them to save it as a post-plant tool. And then a wild play as Jitboy ults in, pushing Garnet around and stunning him. And then Garnet flies through with his ultimate out, full blind as well. I'm loving watching this Talon team, despite the fact they didn't win the round. Every round is a joy.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Pure whimsy. MiBR not messing around now. It seems that timeout has definitely
been a
cause for the increase in tempo because
Bren,
they have been playing so slow by comparison.
Garnet is already into a wild position.
Fox, this is dangerous, man. I mean, trying to reclear this corner. The players are all over the place right now. Just
no one's looking.
Lower section of arcade. Anybody watching this one? It's Heat. Can't claim the kill. A double swing. Perfect timing from on high. JCC just wide out in the open. Has to dodge the flash, but the swing was good. Reset of the aim.
And this round is demonstrating fundamental lack of understanding, I think, from MiBR of how to contain a player like Garnet. Garnet is on Neon. If he pushes out one area of the map and uses that tunnel, he can be in all sorts of spaces. You need to spread your team out more than playing 4-1 defaults on Fracture. And I think this is where MiBR are losing their heads a little bit and forgetting some of the fundamentals of how to play maps like this. They look uncomfortable, and Talon are punishing them hard.
It's not a stage where there's any room for error. Talon steadily claiming that lead in this map. Potentially claim the entire series and send one of the hometown teams home, but another fast play just once more. Heat this time punished though. There were stuns in play. They were ready for some sort of action that was going to occur towards A-Halls. And it is a bit of a half by a round, so listen, risks can be taken by MiBR.
And this is where playing slowly and looking for picks, like the shot that FRZ just took, this is where this makes a lot of sense. You know, you don't need to group up and try and do something quickly.
So
or at least not until you have a player advantage.
Yeah. Right now, just working their way around the map, playing together here is 3. If they take this arcade control, it's just an awkward clearance at the angle there by Murray's up close. Face through of his life. No one's watching tower. There's an anti-flash being played. Easy peasy, it seems like, for Talon once more against the weaker guns. So 6-2 being that scoreline, and now we get to see MiBR a bit more money in the bank. Why have these weapons? What plan have they got?
They need a plan. And they've invested enough in the prior eco round that 4 of them still have light armor. Not the best position to go into, and the timeouts as well have not created success for MiBR. Talon are just ripping them to pieces. I would expect something aggressive again from Talon. It's been working every time, pushing Garnet into a wild spot. And it looks like Garnet's going to try and take Tunnel again by pushing out Arcade, but this clash is more important over a dish.
Stun's good. It's going to be a double face there. I believe the flash not even in action there. Not really anywhere to run. But it is that flank that we were talking about. Work their way behind. This is so odd. They flipped the map entirely.
That's so bold as well by Cruz. There could definitely be somebody here. The Cypher could have been in that spot. And now his position is noted too.
Yeah. Definitely not worried.
So that's one of the first times that Talon have gone for something aggressive. The north side crunch and MiBR have shut it down. Mostly off the back of JCZ's utility, who is stepping up more than he did in map 1. It's just been a little too little.
The percentage play now for Talon is to try and take these guns away. Obviously that full investment by MiBR, you want to make it more expensive. RGL Meister taking a fight, but it's traded. Cruz just seeing if anybody will wade into him. But yeah, that aggression actually does pay off. Pushing back that north side crunch now, so option for them, and they've built up at least that Rolling Thunder once more. Another tool to work with. It's a big one.
It definitely is. And MiBR's problem has just been that lack of decisive action, which they managed to find in that round. They killed the players over a dish, and then it's fairly obvious that you transition into an A push off the back of that, especially with players behind you. In some ways, their hand was forced. Interesting to see Talon taking a timeout here, actually. It doesn't really feel like what they're doing is failing, or they need to take some kind of strategy adjustment, but maybe just trying to halt the momentum of MiBR before it can begin.
Yeah. Very possibly.
You could tell that the first Brazilian team is here. This is a home crowd, and the fans care so much about Brazilian Valorant.
Yeah.
They're out here in droves, the atmosphere is so different, and they are not exactly being treated to the start that they would have liked.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to have dampened the mood, though.
No, not quite. Happy to see the home country represented on the big stage, I think, as well, and there'd be even more opportunities later for that as well when Loud end up playing against Gen G.
Yeah, very true.
Very true.
Loud, obviously, the massive favourites in this match, but I don't think you could say that MiBR were the massive favourites here. I would have thought this game was fairly even, probably an edge to MiBR.
I would have given an edge to MiBR, yeah.
But a small one. Not even a 60-40 game, in my opinion, a bit closer than that.
In my opinion, I was thinking it was going to be relatively one-sided for MiBR.
Wow.
So I was seeing something different.
You were hitting up the caipirinhas.
Yeah, apparently. Apparently.
But okay, rifle round on board here, 6-3 the score, as Talon have taken a timeout. What do they adjust? So putting the Neon on the other side of the map now, playing halls. And in these kind of moments, normally, the important thing, if the halls players like FRZ take contact and realize there's a 3-player stack from the defense in halls, Heat is supposed to go and help them all the way through site and go and help and backstab to put pressure on Jit Boys.
Yeah.
Can they identify what the defensive hold looks like, and can they find the right solution?
Smokes dropped fast lane as well. There we are pushing through, and it is going to be an attempt of it, at least that pincer, and Heat has been taken care of. Dropped immediately. Still MiBR will be claiming this site. The Rolling Thunder is going to be used without too much backing this up. It's only to try and clear through into halls so that RGL Master can take that space once more. The flash play, it's dodged to the side. Quick reactions from him to be able to stay alive and stay active.
It's a great kill by RGL, and I think it changes the tide of this fight. Sushi Boys with an operator does not want to get involved in this retake particularly, unless Fox finds something, and he can't.
Yeah, slightly off when it comes to the crosshair placement of that re-clear, and now Sushi Boys, not the weapon to retake, as you were saying, Josh, just needs to run away now. But MiBR starting to get a little bit behind them.
And I think Talon's timeout might have helped MiBR there. MiBR need all the help they can get. They need to talk to Bazooka as much as they can.
Yeah.
If he could get wired directly into their comms, they'd go for that. So Talon taking the minute there to speak to the coach on the opposite side, Zeus, I think that's helped MiBR. And the reason that I say that is because you didn't see any of that hesitation. There was no early prodding for a pick. They just took the exec space that they needed, went into the site. Heat went to try and help his players. And yeah, even though Heat dies, they do end up with Halls control, a good post-plant position, and RGL anticipates that play happening and secures the post-plant. That was just like a on-paper textbook, how you attack A with a Neon from drop.
Sushi Boys really pushed out of position now. Only landing across the map. I think that was at the staircase there of tower, but now
not the
fast
shorty.
lane, shorty.
Not the shorty.
It's holding the angle, and that is just okay. Taking the timing. Fox claims the kill. Sushi Boy's also just waiting in and out of these smokes. Very dangerous when he does have that shotgun as the secondary, but smokes are going to be fading now, and there was a bit of a moment where they could have fallen. So far, MiBR finding it hard to really gain any sort of space.
I mean, how do you get the plant down? Jitboy is just waiting for the plant noise, and then he's going to send the ult in. I don't think they're going to go for a retake here so much as just flooding in. I mean, and Heat, is he going to try and find space for them to rotate off to A? They're so committed to B.
I think this is just a flank so that he can try and fight through spawn, but there's 45 seconds left in this round, roughly. Cruz is holding for this flank as well. More than aware of this.
That Heat's flank is not going to help them get the spike down, though. It's too
late. The more
late.
this time gets brought down, the less time they're really going to be having to work with. There's the Rolling Thunder, though. And Frozen tries to play close, tries to play within the safety of his cages, but he's dealt with, and Heat from behind. Now going to be aware of this one. Cruz holding the close angle. They need to just try and clear him up. Sushi Boys eventually returning fire, but he does claim two. And the crossfires are enough.
And despite the fact that Heat actually found the timing on that, Talon's game plan was way too good.
Yeah.
Again, MiBR not with a real answer for how you get the spike down in that position. Not able to play the map, going for a straight-up site hit, and just reaching a brick wall. Certainly doesn't help when your KO dies off the rip. Muri's falling. No knife, you know, no counterplay to the breach shot, particularly in terms of suppressing him. 7-4. If MiBR can get this round, it looks like a much better half.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be more respectable. Final round of this first half.
But the weaponry is so poor.
Ash for the jump peek. Rifle's going to be exchanged, and it's helped him out massively. Sushi Boys having to wait and skip and hop and avoid all that utility. There was an aftershock at his feet, but he stays alive. And the pressure gets relieved there. Just a smoker drop. That's all that was needed.
Garnet is in a position to completely crush this.
Just trying to take the peek there. I don't think there was any utility off of it.
Missed the shot. And now the question is, do the defenders start flooding into B? Because if so, FRZ's got a good timing. Can he allow this alarm bot to go down? Nope.
Okay.
It spotted him.
Yeah, it does spot him indeed. It's a re-clear through tunnel again by MiBR now with 50 seconds.
And you could argue that this opens up a bit of space for MiBR over on the B side, but the defenders are just going to be split evenly. At some point here, Morris just has to call for them to commit. This must be a B side execute.
That's a good first kill with Garnet's falling.
30 seconds
Grand
left.
scheme of things there for them.
25
They
seconds.
need to react off of this, man. I mean, listen, they don't have a lot of time to work with.
Foxy still has the KO nade.
They're only just working their way into the site. There's going to be 15 seconds left. The spam coming through. When is the spike going to start to get planted?
Oh, he got
JCT,
suppressed.
yeah, moves backwards, just goes and plays within the safety here. Tucks into the pocket, so they will eventually get it. But there we go. It's a common enough angle. And spam through the smoke will do it. Now to lockdown.
Orbital strike to answer.
So RGL Meister will have something for this one. There it is. Answered in kind. Murray's taking a fight. Rather inopportune time, and that's frozen. Late lurking, finding his target. Two players just trying to make the most of it now as Talon, again, working their way forward. It's a flash to try and potentially re-clear this. There was Util out in his hand to tap on the spike. The re-clear off to the side. Enough for them. The 5th round finally claimed in this half here for MiBR, and it is going to be more respectable.
Definitely. That's the only thing that saves them. This half, again, looked like MiBR were getting battered every time they tried to stand back up. But 7-5 is good enough. If they can win the pistol, this is still a respectable scoreline. I gotta say though, it feels still like Talon are in control. And MiBR are grasping at straws. They've just managed to pluck out the long straw in that final few rounds.
And so far, the edge just really in the side of Talon's camp. But map number 2, the first half is done. Let's find out what the desk has to say.
Thank you very much, guys. Now, it's a different map here, but Mimi, the level of Valorant, what we had from Talon on the first map, is the same. It hasn't dropped.
Yeah, it looked like Talon was going to run away with that half like the casters were saying, but at the end there was some resurgence out of MiBR, and it looks like they might have been able to get themselves back into things.
Yeah, really good stabilization coming through, and I kind of do agree with what Sideshow was saying. It feels like that timeout did benefit MiBR way more than it benefited Talon. Things starting to slip from them. But we'll talk about some good stuff from the side of Talon, because the synergy in their util has still been excellent. You see MiBR trying to creep over, get themselves in onto this B site. Rolling Thunder comes across, but they instantly have a stun as well as his orbital strike to completely and utterly mess up RGL's day. He can't make it out of there. The spike does eventually end up getting planted, but being as low as he is, Burrs gets taken down at the end by the Nanoswarm. So the preset stuff here from the side of Talon and the just chaining of util together has made a really painful run here for MiBR so far.
Yeah, and the stakes are high for MiBR in this one. You lose here, you're going home in front of your home crowd. It means a lot for the people here in Brazil and for this team to be able to find something more in this tournament. And towards the second part of that half, things were looking better. We saw improvements out of these guys. I think they kind of found out how to adapt a little bit more. Early on, they were gambiting Heat's life, kind of make or breaking off if he could get an initial play, and it was never really working for them. But after they got Bazooka into the mix, the vibes went up. They started smiling. It was less of this sadness from the team and from the fans, and they need to channel that energy going deeper into this second half if they want to be able to come back.
Yeah, it's a lot more to cheer for here with this 5-round count. I mean, if you get to that 8-4, it does feel a hell of a lot more bleak. 7-5, this is absolutely possible here for the side of MiBR. They can come out the gate, take this pistol round. They're going to give themselves such a nice setup to get things tied up at 7-7.
Well, it's definitely doable, but they don't have a choice, because if they lose here, they will be going home, and they definitely don't want to be doing that in front of the home crowd. Brendan Sideshow, there is a lot of pressure riding on the second half.
And speaking of that pressure, we were talking about the rookie players really having to step up, I think, for map number 2, particularly on MiBR, and it is JZZ who has been really making his mark and making a name for himself as well on this big stage, I think, with his play.
Yeah, having a much bigger step up. But you look over at the other side, and Jitboy was so quiet on Haven. Now top fragging for the team, so battle of the breaches here. And Breach really does dictate a lot of the flow on this map.
Yeah, it does. Slows down just any sort of play that you try and make. Early days, of course, if you try to go through that halls section, as we just saw, but a bit of a pivot now from Talon. Biding their time, they slow it down once more, and it's a bit of a re-clear, as you can see, towards that arcade area.
But then an instant commitment.
This trip is really interesting, actually. It's for the canteen push. No, okay.
Wow.
And
Spotted it.
Okay, spotted, aware. Playing around this one to a degree. That plant location is a little bit out in the open, and this reflank by MiBR has already found some decent value. Cruz, though, holding close to the corner. It's going to be cleared. Enough damage done. The Heat falls relatively easily, and it's going to be that double swing dealt with.
Very well played by Cruz. FRC looking to re-clear the reflank. And MiBR are coming back into this, 3v2.
Yeah, there's a lot of tempo. The back end of this one, being able to take control of this site, but they need to start to get the fuse online. I believe the post-plant utility being played here. Cruz did have that. Molly, Sushi Boys found, and it's out in the open, but a miracle is going to be needed. A bit of spam, but he just doesn't know the angle and time, and a flash will finish it off, won't it? Enough for them to win out that pistol round, and MiBR one step closer to clawing it up to a bit more of an even scoreline.
That is the lifeline that MiBR needed. Absolutely. The devs were talking about how important this pistol round was. And it should get them up to a 7-7 scoreline. And considering they weren't in control of this map for the first, I don't know, 9 rounds, makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And you see the Talon game plan here, broadly speaking, is going to be to get quickly onto sites and then play post-plant utility. There's more to it, obviously, but that's going to be a big factor.
Oh, wow. Okay. Little
And
force buy coming. There's been a couple of teams that have been trying this at the event, despite the fact that we do have the Stinger nerfs live.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, if you get the plant down, why not? A bit of extra money can offset it, and well, double swing through, but MiBR come up with the much better outcome.
Yeah, and Garnet slow to punish the Halls player. So, whereas we saw the same exec from MiBR, they were able to take Halls control. I mean, Garnet is in the Halls right now, but he always has to be worried about JZZ.
They have retaken that control, as you said. Now, the players out in the open. Knife close, stun. Fox really nowhere to really play towards, just trying to hug the close wall to make sure he survives, but he doesn't dodge the flash in time, and that is well executed.
Another big round by JZZ too. Didn't really have the biggest performance on Haven. He was mostly just playing Fade, following Heat around, trying to support him. But now that he's on Breach and he's able to play these positions where he's getting to Rifle, man, he's having an impact. This play for Halls, the trade is great, but then his decision to drop so far back forces these Talon players into it. And he just picks a great angle and annihilates them both with a Bulldog. Excellent play.
Yeah. Really.
That's another massive bonus for MiBR, is that their economy starts to bloom.
Because of that force that Talon ended up opting for, yeah, you're right. Keep the bonus going. Start to work towards that momentum, maybe turn the side of this. Matt Murray's, though, was out in the open.
Careful.
Yeah, can't be making mistakes like that, because especially against the Sheriffs, your head might just get taken off here. And speaking of it, well, Fox, nice little angle that he was finding there from Heat. The util to push back out of tower, but no real bite behind it.
And Fox went back for a second bite of the apple. JZZ punishes him for it. It's B that's under pressure, though, whether MiBR know it or not. And tower is going to be somewhere that FRC has to look towards in a moment.
Yeah, surely glide to the side, not really much follow-up, and easily cleaned. Frozen really just doing some decent damage from on high, that anchor position.
And it's nice, it's clean, it keeps a lot of stuff alive for MiBR. So they've got a good delayed bonus round here in round 16. And the only thing that would have been even better for them is if JZZ had gotten one of those kills, because he's one away from that Breach ultimate.
Does feel like everything's going their way.
Can they play for one of these orbs? Can they try to push JZZ and Heat aggressive somewhere? Dish, for example, doesn't look like it. The fault line required to control Halls.
Not likely. It's a shallow stun. It's an alternate path, I think, honestly, for the Neon, just because she can get past it really quickly. But Talon just waited out, and now they're going to be starting to re-hit through, taking control of Sand. There are players waiting for them. see what MiBR can really do about this one. The answer is quite a bit. Doubled up, playing inside the smoke. The weaker guns, it matters not. Flash around the side. It is a nice dodge from Sushi Boys, and he's still alive in the action. Orbital strike right on top of their heads. Frozen will be dealt with. They back away. They bide their time for a little bit longer. Talon not too willing to jump into the fray. Not when there's so many unknowns on that side.
This was a 3v5 though, and Talon found a couple of kills without having to strain or stretch themselves. On Haven, so many of these 3v3, 2v2 scenarios went the way of Talon. They just got players into strange positions. Here, deciding to cut noise, makes the defenders spread out, and now JCC has got to step up. He's been good for it so far, and he is again!
That's beautiful. The guy's coming alive, truly. Not going to be able to use too many abilities, but still locking down this angle, and he's bought precious time for the rest of his team to come in. It's just a contact play from the Talon guys, seeing what they can get done. What a swing by Fox. The stun, it's a little bit late, but the spray down, and he doesn't really just back him up, making sure that there's safety in numbers. And it truly does feel like MiBR are running away with this one.
I can see some silent Famo screams there. It was a great shutdown as the sight hit came through. I think FRZ getting trapped in the orbital strike is not optimal, obviously. Yeah. And it's probably a bit bold as well for Mariz to go searching towards Sands on his own, but how they dealt with that sight hit initially coming through is great, because I think that's where Talon are going to run into most of their problems. Brent, if we want to start talking about the compositional dynamics a little bit here, MiBR are creeping into the lead on their defensive side. And I think another issue that Talon have to deal with is FRZ's Cypher setups.
Yes.
The Cypher is really good at stopping the Neon from going fast into places. And it's not necessarily going to be seen with lots of kills, with lots of trap wires, but it's more so the hesitation that it brings into Talon's game.
Yeah, it's the threat of it, because you're seeing this, honestly. MiBR, they're dumping utility at the beginning of these rounds into the Hall's control just to push it back. Because Talon feel like that's one of the only areas they really can explore very quickly. If they want to wade towards B, it's got to be, again, a little bit slower in pace. You can't just run in with the Neon.
No, you can't. And I think that's one of the major advantages to MiBR's composition.
So Talon taking that timeout, they're going to be looking for the right answer. Maybe not in this round, possibly the next one when they get those weapons in their hands, but could cook up something a little bit cheeky, maybe.
If Talon do find an opening kill or two with these 4 Sheriffs and a Guardian, the Breach ult has no answer. Jitboy still holding on to this one. Yeah, the knife finds everything.
It's delayed across the map, and it catches onto, I believe, 4 of them.
But Talon are pretty fine here, just spreading out, trying to look for picks. And I don't think... It's not like MiBR should be too worried in this round at all, but we've seen so many Thrifties exchanged in the series. Thrifties, half-buys, that kind of thing. Yeah. And Sushi Boys has just diffused one of the trap wires over towards Tree. Looks like the other one might be taken out over at Dish now, too.
Finding that easy kill. All the extremities really being watched for, with the exception of Drop. That was... He opened up for them. An angle being found. Garnets, what is that shot? A stun, another flash to push him back, and he wants to take the refight. Guy's reloading. Heat. Flash as well, trying to play off of it as well. Fox is attempting to assist. What is that? Reset 1-2, one side to the other. And he's still holding on to this Guardian. Could be doing some decent damage with the spike planted, but dropped down. It's down onto Cruz, honestly. What can he get done? And he hears him, finds him. They know what RGL is now, but is that 1v2, and this is clever play. The discipline there by RGL not to wide swing that one. Plays his life really nicely.
And it does get dangerous for MiBR, but this is the first time that we've seen them get a substantial lead. 10-7. The next rifle round deciding so much. Foxy made them work for that one with the double Guardian kill, but I think they had this one wrapped up as soon as the plant isn't really for where Cruz is playing. And a much quieter map too for Cruz. Now that he's not playing the lurking role and just more playing where his team needs him, he looks like his former self. If this goes to map 3, keep that in mind, but for now, big clash at Arcade. Both Neons heading straight in.
Oh, fighting straight up. Going absolutely man for man with the flashes over the top, but it is Talon who come out on top. But the spike has been dropped behind them, and MiBR is an instant reaction from them. This is what I wanted to see. There's no hesitation in this play. Taking up that space on the north side, but a smoke's dropped down. They are a little bit awkward. There is a gap, I believe, in play, but still Jason Say just wants to play inside of it.
FRZ got a god timing there. He managed to slip past Sushi Boy's turret just as Sushi Boy's retracted it. So they have no clue that FRZ is here. Unfortunately, I mean, he's going to hear those steps.
Okay, the entire team. Talon just opting into trying to noise bait, I think, actually, yeah.
Yeah,
running some footsteps and then just going to be walking back.
Wow, they've sold that so well. Not just noise baiting, but actually sending a full player over there to put down the turret. It really sells it. Makes it feel like this is an A hit completely.
This plant's going to go down for free.
And what an open post plant position that they can get.
Big ults online for the post plant as well. That orbital strike. Going to be nice for them. Sushi Boy stand up. Okay. Not the first time we've seen that one. Almost just wrapped up the round for them.
And this would have been a tough 2v2 retake had Sushi Boys been found. But as it is, it's an impossibility. Talon once more coming out on top when both teams clash and a trade situation happens. I think they've done that every time. And then also finessing a really crucial, 4v3, 3v3 kind of moment.
It's hyper intelligent in the moment there to just try and bait with the footsteps. And push Sushi Boys into this advanced position, like you said. Prior, he puts down the turret and really sells it.
Next round, vitally important. Whoever loses this, they're going to be knocked down onto a weird bye, and there are major ults to play with all over the place. MiBR, though, don't have the most important two that they can use to deny the spike plant. So should be Talon favored. The question is in the execution.
Coffers are full when it comes to the ultimate. A stun, no command. This is where you see that tempo increased. Inside the fast lane, Sushi Boys just holding to one side of it just in case, but they have not cleared tower yet. And what is that?
Just spam? I think maybe a trap onto Garnet.
Whatever it might be, definitely got the job done, and that movement is just far too clean. The bait and switch crews just cannot find a clean target. Despite the spike being down, what more can be awarded for them? Sushi Boys doesn't lose his nerve in a moment. He does claim the easy kill for them, but they need a bit more than that, and that might just be enough. Now up top is the tower. Flash play! Spray down, but Frozen does again get that trade. And now there's a lockdown.
It's not a great position, though.
Let's push them away from the spike, though. They won't be able to stick this. Time has been bought. There is a crossfire now. JCC needs to win this fight now, locking it down. He was weak, though. Half onto the defuse. Sushi Boys waiting, and it's a full stick! But not enough done. Talon win it with the Red Bull clutch, and they silence the crowd.
What a play, what a clutch by Sushi Boys. The timing could not have been more perfect. That is some fresh fish in the clutch. That is fresh. I've also got to give credit there, really, to, you see how those first two kills happened from RGL. And FRZ did a great job. He's playing on the opposite side to his trapwires, so he doesn't get caught by Fox's ult. So the defensive game plan there really did work from MiBR. Yeah. But look at the reaction from Bazooka. I mean,
slipped away.
What a heartbreaker. What a big play from Sushi Boys.
And Josh, you said it, such an important round to win prior, because look at this economy now from MiBR. They have rounds to work with in terms of just having that bit of buffer. It's a fault line. This is a very risky play, but why not take risks when the weaponry is this bad? And okay, Util is going to be used now. That's that discipline from Talon, making sure that they do deal with heat.
And Heat is alone, isolated so much more than Garnet is. Whether it's his decision-making or not being on the same page as his team backing him up, I feel like Garnet's always got his team tight, filling that space.
Yeah.
And Heat tends to challenge alone a little bit more of a loose cannon. Can MiBR win this round? They still have quite a bit of, good ultimates, a weapon in here too. The round's not over.
Garnet?
What is
He's just
this?
waiting his way all the way through into their spawn and trying to watch for him. He's got it pulled down, still taking the fight. He's just running and gunning. And he finds the 2 kills. Argelmeister got no choice but to try and counteract it, try and take the fight. But it's the bait and switch. He's just bought so much time, so much space.
He is an absolute menace, Brad.
Not a care in the world, is it? Not a care in the world.
He's one of the most fun rookies that I've ever watched on the big stage.
There's something about this team, this core roster, whatever it is, just puts that whimsy into that primary duelist player. Gotta be careful not to let this round get out of hand, but with the ultimates the Talon do have, the positioning as well, you can already see that Cruz is just taking the necessary measures. He's already just backing into their spawn so that he can just orbital strike if it gets rough.
It would be great here for Morris and RGL to get a couple of kills. It would have economic implications.
Do take that double swing, but
I mean, Jitboy, for example, now only has light armor or a bad weapon. It's not that they're trying to win the round, but just try and make things easier for yourself now that things are locked up 10-10.
Back and forth, back and forth.
Now, Cruz has got enough to drop, actually, as well for Jitboy, so I don't think there will be any problems here with the buy. But MiBR are finally back in a position, 10-10, after a 3-round slip-up, where they can attempt to make something happen. RGL and JCT's ultimates gonna be important. Looks like a bit of a north side crunch, although those B players aren't going too aggressive.
It's just that utility being thrown near the beginning. Bit of a default, but there is no presence from MiBR in A halls. It's actually free game, and Fox has realized it. Look at this, just Knife doesn't spot anything, works his way in. A lot of space for free, and if MiBR try and perform some sort of reaction off of it, I mean, JCT's not exactly in the greatest of position to react with a fault line. In fact, he doesn't even have it off cooldown. Does have the ult, though. I wonder if that's what they're going to be trying to play for now as the fast lane goes up. Smike in the hands of Garnet. Goes for that plant in the safe corner. Nothing to disrupt it.
Look how absurdly safe Cruz is playing. He has a molly lineup, he has orbital strike.
I mean, he's so far in their spawn.
He has no intention of being caught by Murray's ult. Okay, so here it comes, the null command. And Cruz, miles away.
And this refight in halls is going to be so important now. The Rolling Thunder cuts across, and that is going to be the one kill found. Fox out of position now. It's up to his team to find it. What is that? I mean, Jitboy's just pulling out an absolute miracle with that one. The old 1-2 punch. And listen, the ultimate pushes them away from the spike. The round is claimed, but honestly just felt like divine intervention in that moment.
What an insane map by Jitboy. I feel like he looked a little lost on Haven.
Yeah.
Maybe that was just him warming up to the stage. But oh my word, these unexpected players are taking turns on Talon to step up right when their team needs them to. The stun spray down, I don't think I've seen anything like that. Both headshots connecting,
Insanity.
so unfortunate for MiBR.
Yeah, that is just pure luck of the draw in terms of coming out with 2 kills there.
But I'll be honest, again, the post-plant game plan looks amazing from Talon.
Yeah.
They knew exactly how the retake was going to work. They had a molly lineup, you know, they have orbital strike for that. Their players are set up in good positions.
I mean, there were so many layers to it, right? Cruz was playing, you know, almost towards B main, just because he didn't want to play within range of an ult command that was waiting through, just so he would have his abilities ready for that post-plant lineup.
And MiBR had chosen to play retake instead of challenging them as they got onto the site.
Yeah.
MiBR take a timeout here. We saw them have some success after speaking to BZK in like round 10, like round 10, 11, 12, something like that. They had a lot more success after taking a bit of a breather. Can they find it within them to push it over the line and take us to a map 3? They're only 2 lost rounds away from going home, and it's not far. These guys are all based in São Paulo. It would be brutal. I feel like, in some sense, more brutal to watch the tournament going on in your home city and know that you're not allowed to participate anymore.
A difficult decision made by MiBR. Not spending all their money. Instead, going for the half buy, understanding that they have less odds of being able to make it 11-11. Instead, playing for that OT.
That's a brutal decision.
And just the players holding one and dones. I mean, Heat just in the close corner, opting not to try and trade that kill as it came out. Holding it, hoping that it wasn't going to get cleared. Frozen seeing what he can do, but Okay, another little refight. Talon, though, are just far too in control, and the shot's just whiffing wide. Garnet's running rings around them. The door opened up. Pop flash play. Well, you caught yourself in the moment. Matters not, though.
Talon have 2 attempts to send MiBR packing. And one of the big problems with taking an eco there, Bren, I'm not criticizing the decision too much, but one of the big problems is that you don't drag out the ultimate from Cruz. That orbital strike for the post plant has just been hovering like a sword over MiBR's head the entire time.
Yeah.
They need to fight them. They need to stop these rounds from being post plant retake scenarios. But even that is dangerous when Garnet is just zipping his way into you.
Stun, I think, should connect with him. Yeah, you can see him lined up, slowed for about a moment. A glide to the side, another stun down at his feet. That's an orbital strike being used aggressively. They saw players onto the site. They wanted to take the fight to them, but an absolute miracle. The spray down, JZZ. What more can you do? He's already claimed 3 down, but dropped to the knees.
Can they deny the res? Here comes Heat.
Trying to go for this one yet. This is attempted to deny. It needs to be a big one. A flash over the side. It is well supported. The doors open wide, and MiBR, they stay alive.
It's another miraculous round from JZZ. 23-16 right now. About to get another ultimate online. I mean, look at what he does here again.
This is
the
absurd.
spray down.
You can't ask anymore. You can't ask anymore.
He's doing everything for MiBR. When Heat is struggling, JZZ is stepping up. One chance to take it to OT.
One chance to stay alive. In this tournament, it's a kill trip. Frozen's rewarded. And Odeganis has been playing towards sand in that moment. It comes off really nicely, still the trade. MiBR still in this for but a moment longer. Heat with the wrap around the flank. Finding his target still. You can't overheat in this moment though. MiBR, they had an advantage, but it's slipping away from them.
The crowd thought that was it. They thought we were headed to OT, and now suddenly tension descending
It's
upon the
just
place.
an instant dampener. The spike's going to be planted. There's nothing to offset this one, and the Rolling Thunder is in the hands of Jip Boys.
The breach battle all comes down to this, doesn't it? They've both been so good all map. Does Jip Boy find the timing?
One kill to really get his own ult online. It's going to be the stun working its way across. Rolling Thunder to push back that one avenue. Heat. It does connect. Time running low. A flash to push them back once more. The fragment nade. All the utility being used to just delay an MiBR. It's a heartbreaker. Planning around the corner. The time running so low. It needs everything, and it will not happen. Talon, they upset the hometown team, and they take it in 2 maps.
What a performance from the Pacific team. They're known for upsets. And you can see it all just landing on Cruz there. The realization that they are through into the next round, facing off against EG. MiBR sent home. Devastating disappointment. They made a run of it there on Fracture. It looked like it was going OT.
So close. Credit to, some of the rookie players were really stepping up to the plate. JZZ just went nuts in that final map, but there's so much he could really do.
Yeah, especially when Jip Boy is also popping off. A phenomenal match, genuinely. We got to see a really even performance with Talon coming out, impressing us all. Yeah. I was impressed by their game plan. I was impressed by the individual ability. I loved the way that they were setting things up. And Garnet, too. Garnet and Jip Boy, actually, considering how Jip Boy played map 2. Both of their rookie players. Wow, what great pickups that they found to replace, Serve, Scary, Padafan. A range of really respected players, and these rookies stepped up.
We thought that inexperience was going to rear its head, honestly. We were talking to Cruz at some point in the interview. I was asking him, what do those new players end up bringing to the roster? And he said, well, we're just hoping to get experience. And the crowd give a good cheer for the players as well as they wave on the stage. clearly happy with this one. I think expectations were placed against them in this particular matchup. There was so much that could have gone wrong. Pressure, the word of the day, honestly, as well, when we're talking about it, and the impact it can have on a lot of these teams. But Talon have rose to the task, and now going to be rewarded with that opportunity to continue deeper into this lock-in tournament.
Definitely showcasing that they are not a team to be underestimated. I think they've always had this label of upset potential, and they failed to live up to it in the last couple of times that we've seen them.
Yeah.
As the competition got stiffer, it looked like, oh, maybe these guys aren't going to be able to get the wins over Optic, that kind of thing. But here, it's a great start. And for the Brazilian crowd, they still have another opportunity to root for hometown heroes. Loud playing next against Gen G. Absolutely the favorites, defending champions as well.
That's going to be a good one.
But not exactly how they wanted things to go starting out here. MiBR, I'm sure we're going to see them competing, you know, in the Americas League, looking stronger than this too. But they've got some good learning points, I think, to pull away from this event.
I think this is a defining moment for this team, you know. Look back at this, obviously, there's an entire season left to play for. This is just the very beginning. But learn from the mistakes, you know, move forwards to the Americas League and maybe be a contender truly.
And you know who I think, I just saw him on the screen actually and it triggered this thought, but you know who I think deserves a ton of credit and tends to get so slept on? Foxy. Fox is always there, bringing big rounds, and he's also leading the team. I mean, I feel like the game plan, the way that they were quickly reacting to stuff, a lot of that can be put down to what Foxy's doing.
Yeah.
And then also being able to get so much value on the Sky on Haven, the KO here. He's one of those players that is doing a lot with the talent that's available to him in that APAC sphere. I think he deserves a ton of credit for it.
No, I couldn't agree more. You can vote for your MVP as well with the QR code. Garnet's Cruz, Chip Boys.
That's a tough choice.
It is a tough choice. There's a lot of options, honestly. I think, yeah, you could give it to a variety of the players, honestly, for being able to take that, because it felt like a team effort towards the end there on map 2.
It definitely was a team effort. I think the player that performed the best over both of the maps was Garnet to me.
Sure.
I don't think he was the best player on either of the maps. I think Cruz dominated map 1 and Jitboy was great map 2. But Garnet was always there, and Garnet always was stepping up to the plate.
Yeah, no, certainly, absolutely, couldn't agree more. But, you know, plenty more action left to witness as well today, because, of course, match number 3 that we were talking about, which was that loud game versus Gen G. It's going to be coming up after this one as well. We're going to go to a short break on the other side of things. Of course, our desk setting it all up, so do not go anywhere. You know you don't want to miss it.
Autonate y amenaza, necesita volar. Las estrellas que están lejos y le gusta gozar, que le gusta brillar. Me ayuda a olvidar que este mundo tiene mierda y no saben vacilar. Me dijeron que tú sabes qué hacer, que tú tienes el cerebro y tú sabes mantener, que tú no tienes miedo de tener todo poder. Me das que necesito para llegar a otro nivel. Dice por la calle que tú tienes un cojete, vamos al espacio que la fiesta si comete. La tierra aburrida, tengo nada que hacer, entonces prende tu cojete, las estrellas quiero ver. Dice por la calle que tú tienes un cojete, vamos al espacio que la fiesta si comete. La tierra aburrida, tengo nada que hacer, entonces prende tu cojete, better rock it like I said. Better rock it like I said. Better rock it like I said.
To that crowd, that's what we call a home advantage here. But if it's anything that's going to do the trick, surely 5 Patty Pans is going to be able to take on MiBR.
Straight down the one angle, dodging a flash. Maurice is set up for it. 3 in a round, a Red Bull clutch.
Look how fast this is.
That's absolutely rapid and got it. Well, he's not wasting any time. Max this type of thing, but Talon, one more than ready once more, got it! Cruz has got the most to do once more, spraying them down a swing, what is that? Talon taking map number 1.
Silence in the crowd, completely there. What a performance.
One enemy remaining. Spike down A.
Swan, it's Heat, can't claim the kill, a double swing, perfect timing from on high. Wide out in the open, has to dodge the flash, but the swing was good.
I'm loving watching this Talon team.
Careful, surely, light to the side, not really much follow-up, and easily cleaned.
Nice! Every round is a joy. It's so fun.
Under the fuse, Sushi Boys, waiting, and it's a full stick! Talon win it with a Red Bull clutch and they silence the crowd. Talon, they upset the hometown team and they take it in 2 maps.
What a performance from the Pacific team.
And that was the Prime Gaming post-match highlights. Welcome back once again. I'm Yingsu and I'm joined by Achilles and Mimi. What a match that was. I think both of you said that out of all of the opening games, we didn't expect this one to be that good.
Yeah, it was fantastic. There's something about the core of this Talon roster, used to be Xerxia, and coming to international events and finding a big upset early in tournaments.
It's just nuts. I mean, never in a million years did I even expect that this was going to happen. I always knew that there was an outside chance, but especially with how dominant they were on that first map, I just had never really anticipated that, especially given that that was not their pick. Fracture, though, I think for me, that might be the best map that we've had so far in this event. So back and forth, so very close, almost getting that overtime. It was just absolutely wild to see.
Yeah, and the thing is that towards the end of that game, the decision-making from Talon was incredible because MiBR looked like they were going to come back into that one, won 6 rounds straight, and then Sushi Boys shows up and finds 2 huge clutches back-to-back. And from that point onward, the calling felt perfect. So many of these well-set-up fakes from Talon, they kind of conditioned MiBR to lean into those fakes, and after that, it just felt like they had the pulse of the game.
Yeah, I mean, so many just great mind games as well. Sushi Boys sprinting over towards that A site to draw attention, allows them to get that free plant down on B. It's absolutely just so big right. It's one of those things that you don't typically think about in the moment, but it's such a great call, whoever made it. And then he goes straight back round afterward into this clutch. A fraction of a second. I mean, look how close this is when he finally swings out and gets that kill. It is so narrow, but it's 2 rounds in a row that Sushi Boys managed to pick up for his team just on the efforts of him and him alone. And that was them breaking that massive 6-round win streak from the side of MiBR, allowed them to get a 5-round win streak of their own, and then from there be able to close it out.
I mean, we talk about the fact that coming to this tournament, they didn't just lose 2 good players. They lost their 2 best players from the last seasons last
Clearly
year. Exactly, but let's talk about those 2 new players. I feel that this tournament, the theme of this tournament has been those debutants. Garnet, Mimi coming out here. He was out heating heat somehow.
Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible match from him, both on the Rays and on that Neon on map number 2 of Fracture. Despite the fact that he was having to execute into a Cypher, the way that the team was calling really felt like it set this guy up for success. And on top of that, he was just so confident. There's something about when Thai players debut at international events, they just come out swinging every time.
Yeah, and he absolutely did. And just some of the things that he was able to get away with just by having such crisp movement, such crisp aim. Every time he pulled out that overdrive, it seems like he was finding an immense amount of value, finding multiple kills, just being able to beam people down, right, getting those headshots across, really take them out. Just phenomenal play. Just came out here without a care in the world. And it's just beautiful to see somebody who could step out onto a stage like this for the very first time and have that strong of a performance. We saw that from a lot of the guys on the side of EG, and now they all get to square off against each other in the next round.
That's going to be fun. And shout out to Jit Boys as well. It doesn't seem like he was a new addition. Like, it felt like he's been playing with the team for a long, long time.
Yeah.
But sadly, we've had to say goodbye to MiBR. And once again, remind you guys how brutal this format Mimi truly is.
Yeah, it is really, really difficult. MiBR, they came in here, they had their moment, got to play in front of their home crowd, and it really was amazing to watch this team debut. But unfortunately, when it came down to it, Talon seemed to do better at the adaptations. I think that Bazooka brought a lot into the team. I think they look a lot better than when this core was Vivo Keyed, but there is still work to do. But I'm confident that they'll be able to come into Americas and make those improvements.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, there's like most of the teams that we do have in this event in the VCT, a very, very solid foundation. You have an absolute excellent coach. One of the 2 that has that championship win under their belt. So I think that given some additional time, we are going to see incredible things from MiBR in the Americas Legion.
I think that makes what happened with
the Americas Legion.
Yeah. I think that makes what Talent were able to do even more impressive, given that a lot of rosters need time. But I don't know. I feel like if we gave this Talent roster more time, it's going to get a bit scary.
Yeah, I mean, they already are so scary, and that was the first match with 2 players. I think they were expecting to play with Patafen going into this one, and didn't matter.
It's nuts to see, and I love what they're doing, and I can only hope that PaperX maybe takes a little bit of another book, because this was still some fast and loose play, but it was really well structured, and the moment-to-moment shot calling, the way that they were able to pivot in the mid-round was just fantastic. So I'd love to see that rather than just all-out chaos from PaperX in the future.
Yeah, well, before the break, we asked you guys at home to vote for the player of the match. The votes have been tallied, and it's in, and I can reveal now to you guys who you actually voted for. Oh, that's close. It is Sushi Boys, but honestly, shout out to Cruz for getting that many votes as well, people recognizing what he was able to do.
Yeah, he was a monster on that first map in particular, but again, this was a performance where it felt like everyone was showing up on the team. Jit Boys maybe a little bit more in the support, less so than the numbers, but everyone was having their moments for Talent.
Yeah, it's really good. I think I know what I'm going to have for dinner now as celebration, so just got to go find some of the boys, get together, have some raw fish. It's going to be a good
boys
time.
on this team.
Yeah,
but,
all the boys.
I think you could have kind of gone either way. For me, it was Garnet just because of the debut. The amount of impact that he was able to have across those 2 maps was absolutely incredible, but you couldn't really have a poor choice at all across the team.
Yeah, and again, like you said, they got to face up against EG. I cannot wait for that game.
Great.
Yeah, but before I get ahead of myself, let's hear from Cruz himself. He is standing by with Golden Boy right now in the Verizon post-match interview.
Thank you so much, Yinsu. Yes, I'm joined here with Cruz, and congratulations, my friend. That did not look easy at all. And not only because MiBR put up a damn good fight at the end there on Fracture, but also the very, hostile, welcoming, yet hostile environment that you were walking into as well. I actually want to ask you about that as you guys are making your way to the stage. We're doing the big dramatic walkouts and the production and the music, and you hear the crowd cheering. What was going on with the team? What were you telling the team, or was everyone kind of just quiet and in their own heads in that moment?
I think everyone was happy. It was the first time we actually played in front of a crowd, and it's experience we couldn't get from anywhere else. I think Brazil has the biggest crowd I've ever seen, and I love having them watch us.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter if they booed us or they cheer for us. It's just the thing that the presence of the crowd being here is already fun for us.
Yeah, yeah, and I definitely felt that when you guys were on Haven. As the match continued, and you as an IGL, were you like thinking to yourself, this is going strangely too according to plan right now? Did you feel like everything was just clicking? And also, like, was it because of the prep work that you guys did leading into that matchup?
It was definitely because of the prep work, but I think we had a lot of good rounds, like the momentum rounds that put us through a lot of the first half, because they made a lot of good plays, but we actually clutched it out, and I think that kind of destroyed them mentally. Yeah. And it gave us like gave me a breather just to think what we're about to do next. So that's probably why it felt better to be IGLing on Haven.
Yeah, and we were talking before the cameras turned on, and you were telling me about how it like the atmosphere. Why don't you walk me through that, because it sounded just from your end. I can't imagine. You have all these headset on. It's hot in there. How did it feel?
Like, even though we were like we were so focused in the game, but the crowd was so hyped. It was so loud. We could hear it mid-game, and it was so hard to hear the game as well. But like, it's part of being in a LAN, right? So it's understandable, and we just had to play our best.
Your game. You have to play your game. You know, we were seeing. I believe I saw pictures of Patafan out in the on the desks and stuff, and you also brought in Jet Boys and Garnets here as well, and they had a great showing. Garnets especially. You know, I guess like, knowing that you have to replace someone like Patafan, who is such an influential player, I've been such a big fan of his for so long. Were you a little concerned coming to the event, or did you feel like Garnets and Jet Boys were ready for the challenge?
We were not actually concerned, because, to be honest, coming into this tournament, we expected to just get experience for the two new members. We didn't think we were going to do this well, even though we had prepared we did a bit of preparation for the event, but it was just for the two new members to get the experience, get the feeling of being in the LAN, because we're gonna head into the regular season, which is more important for us, I think. So it wasn't really much of a stress, even though Patty is not here.
Yeah, of course, and I think it just helped that you guys were able to go out there, do your thing, no matter what the results were. Turned out pretty well for you. It was a great experience nonetheless. Cruz, I want to thank you so much for your time, man, and the adversity and being able to clutch up in those moments and win those rounds. So awesome to watch, and congratulations to you and the rest of the Talon boys once again. All right, well, that is going to do it for us here, and much love to the Talon boys for pulling off it's definitely a difficult victory in front of a Brazilian crowd, but we have plenty more coming at you right after this, because it's our last match here in the first round. It's going to be Loud facing off against Gen G. Who knows? Anything's possible here in São Paulo. We'll see you on the other side.
Red Bull gives you wings.